I don't know if this year, I don't know if this election will, I think everybody's going to be able to tell because it's not as good. The next 4 years from now is the scary one.
Sure, sure.
At least for us. I mean, elections are going on all over the world. And I mean, that the tools are pretty good right now, but you can kind of spot it. And I think people are on guard right now. And but what happens when we kind of get numb to it and the tools get even better? We end up in a weird, even a worse spot.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, that's a great point, Tony. I was gonna touch on that too, and just say that I think the unintended consequences of all these things, right? And one of those, more than likely, is going to be people's critical thinking, especially people with agency, is going to go up. Like it's going to keep leveling up right now. I mean, that's kind of,
We can hope.
yeah, well, you can hope, right? But like the reality is, like, we've been force fed a lot of media for a long, long time, right? And then now more and more people have the means of production to be able to kind of create their own media, right? So now people are basically getting inundated with so much content that they kind of write a lot of it off. But I think, especially when it comes to things of critical nature, I think that's important now that a lot of people are kind of looking at it and giving it like a second look now, right? And so not everybody, right? But I think even if we get a percentage of the human population to start doing that a little bit more, I mean, that's just a net win. As if more and more people are a little bit more careful and critical thinking about the images, the messages, everything that's coming in. I think that's a net positive. Yeah, obviously it's just a lot of disruption, in the process. But
So we see a lot more politicians on podcasts, Joe Rogan, whoever, whatever podcast it happens to be, right? I think we're going to see a lot more of the politicians on podcasts because they're going to be there, they're going to be getting their ideas out, they're going to be talking for long periods of time. And if it were me, just me personally, I'd want to get on these places so people know who I am, what I sound like, the kinds of things I say. And that actually makes it harder to deepfake because if you're creating a deepfake of me saying something that sounds completely absurd based on the 17 hours of podcasts that I've done, it's going to be even easier to spot. So I think we're going to see a lot more of that kind of engagement and interaction, number one, because it benefits them. And number two, I think to help combat some of this stuff. So I think it could be really, really interesting soon.
Yeah, I think the long form content's definitely a good defense mechanism if you're in the political light. Go ahead, Jeezy. I know you had something to say there and unmuted. Thanks for your patience.
Yeah, no, this is just first time, long time listener, first time talking. But yeah, I don't know if you all saw the this recent, I believe it's out of Maryland, but an athletic director was just charged yesterday, first time ever, with using AI to create a recording of the principal making him say like racist things in an attempt to get him fired. Yeah, but it was caught. So yeah, it'd be interesting.
Yeah, after he already got put on leave, right? Like the principal got put on leave, and they were like, "Oh, we're exploring what's going on here." And then, like 2 months later, they figured it out.
Right, yeah. So
this guy's already lost all of his friends. His wife left him.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, it's first case that's happened with. So it'll be interesting to see, if any precedents are set with cloning voices and doing all that. But yeah.
Very interesting. Thanks for bringing that up. I wonder how they found it. Do you have any insight on like what they did to track that? Did you follow?
I mean, it was basic AP article, so they probably don't understand the technology behind it either. So yeah, I haven't done the deep dive on what I was trying to find out exactly what he used. But yeah, athletic director in Maryland, hip to AI. It's great.
Wow.
Wow. Guys, I wanted to just say one last thing. Like all of us here are pretty tech savvy, right? I'm assuming. So you think about most of the world is really not. And I can't tell you, like, unfortunately, we don't need really good AI to cause misinformation because typically also with like even an older generation, I can't tell you how many times I've heard, like my father-in-law say, "Did you hear this? Such and such a thing happened." And it's a headline. And I'm like, well, who's the source? Oh, oh, I don't know, I didn't read the article. You know, it's like they hear something and it's just a headline, and to them, that's it. And so they don't even need to see a really good deep fake, you know? So I think this kind of Facebook, misinformation is going to, once again, we're going to see that through this whole election year.
Absolutely. Corey, what's the name of your video? You mentioned it earlier, the Gel something that talks about this exactly.
Oh, the Gelman amnesia effect.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different. Mostly, it's the idea of if you're an expert in a field and you see how little reporters understand your field, but then you turn to a different article that you don't know anything about, and you go, "Oh yeah, they must know what they're talking about," when they just proved they don't in the article that you just read. It's actually a quote from Michael Crichton, who was one of the more brilliant writers we've ever had.
Finney, I saw you're off mute. You have something to add, my king?
Yeah, I'm going to jump on to like 3 different points just to tie it together. So I'm going to go in the other direction and say that I think people are going to hit a fatigue on the gotcha nature of deepfakes, or thinking that people, what they say in some situation is the end of their thinking about a topic. That the reason being that people are becoming too inundated with information, and to be able to synthesize like a very broad perspective on a topic or an individual from a 10-second soundbite or a 10-second video clip or something is essentially impossible. That's just not, I don't think that's at all how we really create relationships or networks. And then to build off of that, you guys were talking about, is there going to be a moment in the next 30 days or 6 months or this year that becomes a wow factor integration of AI in video? And I would say, again, opposite direction. It's going to become mundane in that you won't notice, and after the fact, you'll say, "Oh, I'm wowed by the fact that I didn't notice that it became just this background element or component of what I was absorbing from a screen or from an experience."